All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Canada Hoops. Thank you for your continued support. Please keep downloading and sharing us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Our wonderful guest today represents Milton, Ontario. She is a current King's Christian Cavalier, a future Villanova Wildcat, and played for Canada basketball on the 2023 bronze medal U19 World Cup team and will no doubt be a player for Canada basketball for years to come. She is Jasmine Bascoe. Jasmine, thank you so much for joining us on Canada Hoops.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be a fun conversation, and like I said to you before we hit record, try to have a variety of different guests, different age levels, and contributions to the program for Canada basketball in mind, and I think you got a bright future, and I know you're putting in a lot of work right now, and past guests have said, "Hey, get Jazz on," so we're looking forward to it. How are things, Jasmine? Just let our listeners and your friends and the Canada basketball community know how you're doing and just where you're at right now.
Yeah, things are going great. I'm currently our season, OSBA season is almost over. We have one more home game and then playoffs at the end of February. So we're definitely in like the final stretch. Canada basketball wise, I've been training with the senior team. They're gone right now. They're going to be in Hungary in their qualifying tournament, but
Right.
that's what I've been doing on the Team Canada side. And then obviously just staying in the gym, getting better, always training. So yeah, things are good right now.
What I know a lot of us sort of have an eye on the senior women's team right now. Currently in Vienna, and fortunate to have a lot of them join us here on the podcast, and always try to support them. And then they'll be off to Hungary. What when you're training with them, uh, kind of right now, specifically with this tournament in mind, like what can you tell us maybe about the conversation they're having, or the mindset, or their approach as they look to put the women's team into the Olympics?
No, yeah, they're definitely really locked in on that, and it's the main focus, goal. So that's definitely something that's always constantly being spoken about. But I would say, they're great, especially with like me being younger. A lot of advice, a lot of tips, and so even though their focus is to qualify and they're very focused on that, they always make sure that they can kind of include me in the conversation and give me some tips, let me know some things. Like I'm about to go to college and they're talking to me about their college experiences and what it was like and what to expect and just things like that. So it's a great balance between like Canada basketball talk and like priority talk, and then also like just some tips and some things that are going to happen in the future and just kind of help prepare me for that. So it's always great. It's always great conversations.
I like to hear that because I know in conversations I've had with some of them, and in this last, if you look at maybe year and a half, where more of the younger players like yourself and others have joined them for camp and training, a lot of the veterans have told me like they really embrace that opportunity and that role to, sit down with you and others and say, hey, this is what I experienced. This is what you should look out for. And I just think, I just had Denise Dignard join us last week there, and obviously leading the women's program, and she just talked about it's something that they've always tried to do, and it's historically been sort of the procedure to add younger players and bring them in and just really grow the program. So I just think that's super cool and so much value with that, and you're a thoughtful, well spoken young woman, and I know that that means a lot to you in terms of um, your game and the knowledge and experience. So it's just super cool to hear that. And you mentioned obviously your prep season here at King's Christian and last year. What are you kind of really trying to work on and goals for yourself? Kind of set yourself up to go to Villanova.
Yeah, so for me, I would say one thing is continuing to be a leader. It's a leader, being a leader has always been something that kind of comes naturally to me because I'm more of an outgoing person. So I love like leading groups and things like that. It's just something I enjoy. So I think that'll be big for me to continue and to bring to Villanova. Obviously, I'm going to be a freshman, so you might be a little shy at first, but just making sure I can use my voice and lead whenever I'm on the court. Then another thing, like physically is I got to get stronger. I got to be ready to, I'm going to be playing with some grown women, some grown girls out there, so I just
Yeah.
got to get stronger, prep my body. But I think I'm excited to go. I would say I'm ready to go. Obviously I still have time, but I can't wait. Like I can't stop thinking about it.
That's cool to hear, and I know everyone will be looking forward to your first year there and supporting you. And obviously, maybe we're biased, but we feel like success will be coming your way, no doubt. And sounds like you're well prepared. And um, I think I read or saw like your dad is your coach this year, correct? Uh,
Yes.
just,
So yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, yeah, that's it.
How's that for you? In your last year, where it's a big year for you, and you want to go out in a big way, and just talk about maybe that player coach dynamic, and then parent child at home kind of thing. Just how's that been?
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, my dad never really coached me growing up. He coached my brother a lot more. So he
Right.
coached me a couple times at like Kia Nurse for like 2 years, but other than that, I've always kind of been coached by other people. So this was like new, but not new. I've experienced it before, but it wasn't consistent. And so, thankfully I was committed already when going into grade 12. So I wasn't really my focus wasn't really, oh, I need to get looks, this and that. It was just I need to get better and, have my last year. And so my dad, I mean, he's trained me my whole life, so it's obviously naturally he's a part of that. But I mean, when we're in the gym with my Kings team, it doesn't feel like he's my dad. It's just a coach. Treat him
Yeah.
like he's a coach. He'll treat me like another player. And then at home we talk. But honestly, like I think we do a pretty good job of kind of separating Kings and home life. I mean, my mom loves watching basketball too, and she played. So we'll come home from practice and have a game on. So then we're talking about that game, or we're on the phone with my brother talking about his game. So we don't really spend too much time outside of it. Obviously, here and there after games we'll talk about it, but it's nothing crazy where we're going home and it's the only thing we talk about. So I think we found like a perfect balance.
Yeah, I like it, and I just wanted to ask, like maybe we'll have some listeners that don't really know your game and just kind of what you're about. Like, how would you, you know, describe your game to others, and maybe your style of play, and just kind of how you are as a basketball player?
So I would say that the first thing that comes to mind is defense. I love to be a dog on defense. Obviously,
Love it.
everyone always says offense comes from defense. And so defense is just something I pride myself on. I think it's like one of the biggest parts of the game. So I'm always working hard on defense, even if I'm a little tired. And then offensively, I love creating for my teammates. I've always been told since I was younger, make the people around you better. And so being a point guard, that's like a big deal. You're facilitating for everyone. So I'm always trying to look for my teammates here and there, but at the same time, I kind of know when I have to pick my spots and create my own shot. And so I think I've become pretty versatile with my 3-point shooting, attacking the rim, pulling up. I think by like in this grade 12 year, it's actually been something that's kind of been a focus from me is I've been able to score at all three levels. And so that's something I hope and I will continue to bring once I go to Villanova. But I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great assessment of your game. Just clips and pieces I've seen of it. I think you're well in tune to, how you do play the game. And I just want to kind of go back a little bit to a little bit of a younger Jazz, and how did basketball take shape for you, and really start to come into the picture. And I know it's a bit of a family affair, but just talk about how you really started loving it and playing the game there, Jasmine.
Yeah, so my parents met playing basketball in university. Then they had my brother, and when he was old enough, he started playing basketball. And then 4 years later, they had me. So I was always watching my brother play. My mom coached my brother for a bit. My dad coached my brother for a while. So I was always surrounded. My dad coached at other colleges, and I was in the gym riding my tricycle, just watching them play. So I've always been around it, and it's kind of just all I knew growing up. So naturally, I was put into it. And around grade 6, 7, my parents were like, "Are you sure you want to play?" Like, because they kind of knew they had put me into it, and they didn't know if I wanted to do it for sure. And I was like, "No, I want to play. Like, I want, like, trust me." And sometimes they didn't believe me because my best friends were on my rep team, and so I was just excited to go and see them. They didn't know if it was, "Are you excited to play basketball, or just go excited? Are you excited to go see the twins?" So I was
Yeah.
like, "No, like I want to play." And there was one stage in my life around grade 6 where I said to my dad, like, "Oh, I don't really want to like train anymore with you. Like, I'll just go to my practices, but I don't want to do anything extra." And then the year after, I was like, I said to him, I said, how come everyone's as good as me now? Because I wasn't putting in the extra work. And I think that's when I realized, like, this is definitely something I want to do. I was like, I would cry when practice would get canceled because of like snow. I always want to be surrounded by basketball. So that's definitely when I was like, no, like, this is what I want to do for my whole life.
No, that's cool, and you clearly recognize like what it takes, right, to improve and get better, and the dedication and the commitment, right? I think that's a good outlook to have, obviously already, and it sets you up to have opportunities already, obviously with Villanova coming, and then even with the national team and training with senior women and competing with them. So are the family driveway games tough or what? Like what's that like for the squad? Like who's winning these games right now?
When I was younger, I would obviously my dad because he would just body everyone, and my mom
Yeah,
was like the best shooter in my family till my brother was like in high school. Like my mom was just a knock, and like I used to always make fun of her form, and I was like, it's so ugly, but she's making every shot. It was crazy. And then
nice.
my brother, yeah, he's pretty good, I guess. So he started knocking everyone out, and so I'll get a few baskets in. Oh, my dad, I'll beat my dad. He's too slow for me now. My brother,
Uh,
he's still better than me.
there's always a point, right, for mom and dad where they're dominating, and then everyone catches up and passes, and they're looking around like, oh man, but that's cool that your mom can shoot it. That's I like to hear
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Um, is there a player right now that you really kind of look up to and admire in a way and just say, "Hey, I really like their game." And is there somebody you're watching right now that you're really trying to take pieces of their game to add to yours?
Oh, 100%. So obviously, I watch like every team. Like if there's a game on, we're gonna watch it. We're not like biased, you know.
Yeah,
But when I'm watching the Villanova games and I'm watching Lucy, who's the point guard right now, I'm like, her name's Lucy Olson. I'm just like almost in awe. I'm like, this is where I'm gonna be next year, and just watching her play is so amazing. I mean, she can score at all three levels, and she's a great facilitator. Defense is crazy from her. So I'm just like, when I go, like I have to not be like her because obviously we're two different people, but her traits that she has on the court are amazing. And I'm just like, this is something that I'm very fortunate to be watching, especially on the team I'm going to be playing on. So I'm just like, I need to carry this into my game when I go there. It's so cool to watch. Honestly, it's amazing.
I like it. It gives you somebody that you're going to compete with, right? And maybe battle for minutes and whatnot. And that's cool. We've talked about Villanova, and you've committed to play there. Um, just talk about your recruiting process, what that was like for you. Who did you kind of narrow it down to, what schools you were considering, and just why you made that decision to be a Wildcat.
Yeah. So my recruiting process started in grade 9. That's when I got my first offer. And so at that time I was like, "Oh, an offer," but I was so young, like, it's not really
Right.
you're not committing in grade 9. It was just a part of the process. So when things kind of started picking up once I was like eligible to be on the phone with coaches, it was at first it was a lot for me, I'm not going to lie. Calls, I'm getting home from school, I practice every day and I'm tired, but I got to get on a call, got to do my homework. So it was a lot, and there was times I was like, "Oh my goodness, like this is crazy." But then I would always have to remember, like, I'm so lucky to say this is crazy. Like, not a lot of people get to say that. And so I definitely had to cherish that too. And then I committed in grade 11. So before I committed, I kind of narrowed it down to like my top 3 schools, but there was really only 2 that I was like really considering. So that was Villanova and Marquette. And so I went on my Villanova official and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's amazing. The campus is great. The girls are amazing. The coaches are amazing. Like I loved it. And then I went to my Marquette visit and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing too. So it was definitely like tough for me. It was tough. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, every time I was kind of trying to compare the two, Villanova was just like shining in my head. And I was like, it just feels like home. It feels right. Sometimes you don't even know why it's right. Your body's just telling you it is. And so I was like, no, Villanova's for me for sure.
I like it, and you gotta really take a hard look at it, right? It's a big decision, and like you said, you're blessed to have that opportunity, and it sounds like obviously from your point of view, you're making the right choice. What has the coaching staff of Villanova just told you? In terms of how they see your game translating to that level, and how you'll impact the team, and just kind of where you're gonna contribute at Villanova. What have they said to you about that?
So they'll come out and watch me play, and they're constantly giving me tips, or if my shot's off, and they're like, "Oh, we see this. Like this might be why." So even from me not being there, they're still critiquing and helping change my game. And so as obviously I committed in grade 11, and then in grade 12 was kind of it's been a breakout year for me because my playing style's kind of changed a bit. So they've just continued to like state the fact that when I come, they want me to play how I'm playing now and continue to be dominant. So it's definitely something that I'm happy I've grown with, because obviously they recruited me in grade 10, 11. I was young, I was still learning, where now it's kind of like I'm at that point where I've seen things from a different light. So I think it's been cool to just, I was never someone that could really shoot pull-ups. It was either a three or a layup for me. And that was something they're like, we got to get you shooting pull-ups, because in the NCAA, you're driving in to a 6 foot, like, five girl in the paint, and that's hard for a guard like me to finish over them. And so pull-ups, yeah, that was probably the biggest thing I would say. And now in grade 12, I've gotten really comfortable with playing that way. So I think I'm ready.
I love it. Some of the Canadian players, like you've had an opportunity to play with Canada basketball at U19, U18 level, and obviously you're training with the senior women, and um, like if you compare that to say a player down in the States who's, let's say, was going to be a freshman in the same year as you now, and maybe they, because of their numbers and population, they haven't had the opportunity to train with USA basketball. And you feel like that gets you ready maybe in a quicker way than some of the players you're going to enter with your class. Like now you've had this national team experience. I feel like over the last, you know, whatever, 5, 6, 7 years, especially on the women's side, like I've really noticed that where a lot of the players, they enter Division 1 basketball and they seem really prepared and ready to play and contribute because of a variety of different clubs they played with, for example, but especially the national team stuff. Like you feel like that's given you another level and confidence to your game.
Oh, 100%. Like,
Nice.
it's hard to say how I would be right now if I wasn't involved with the national team, because honestly it's been so like detrimental to my growth. Like even at our practices, just the expectations from the coaches, there's not a lot of room for mistakes when you're playing in the World Cup. So you got to learn how to, cancel out all those little things that could be very detrimental. And then playing in Europe, playing against Spain, teams like that, like those are teams that are just like they're amazing. They're so great. And so just you don't even realize it in the moment, but when you come home and then you're playing with your high school team and you're like, I feel like I've gotten so much better. I've been gone for a month, because your game changes. Like with me, when I was talking about my pull-up game, I was never really someone that shot pull-ups, and then I come back from the World Cup and I'm shooting a pull-up off of every ball screen. And it's like I never like I wasn't really there wasn't a definite time for me to be like, oh, now I'm good at pull-ups. Like it's kind of just it translates into your game. And so I think it's crucial almost. And I'm very grateful that I've, been able to experience that, because not a lot of people do. But I
Right.
think, yeah, it's another type of basketball that you wouldn't get to play here in Canada. It's a different level. So I think it's been amazing.
Awesome. And I know, it seems like um, these opportunities you've had, just you've embraced. I know in other videos I've seen, it's just like, yeah, this means a lot. And, it's something you've really enjoyed. I know, like we've talked a little bit of Canada basketball, and that's what we love to do here on the podcast, especially with guests that have played for the program that you have done. Obviously, so far in your young career, as a whole, Jasmine, like you've worn the red and white a little bit now. What does that mean to you, just to be able to, obviously it's helped your game, but to represent your country and Canada and the program, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's an honor. It's not something a lot of people get to do, and just seeing your name on a Canada basketball jersey for the first time is like it's amazing. Like there's no better feeling. I felt like I was like a soldier for the country. It's so cool.
Nice.
And it's just like like not only am I representing Canada, like I'm representing Milton, I'm representing Kings. Like there's a lot of things I'm representing, And like we'll play a game, and then I have a friend from school send me a video of the TV, like, "Oh, you're on the TV." And I don't really care about those things too much, but it's like we're representing more than just Canada. It's our family, it's everything. And just the fact that they trust us because obviously you still have to make the team. So the fact that they trust us to go out there and show what Canada brings is amazing. And our rankings as a whole have gone up so much in the past couple of years. So I think it's been so cool to like be a part of that. It's something I'd never imagined until more recently, but it's been amazing. I love it. It's an honor.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've asked guests, obviously, wearing the jersey and having Canada on the front is special, but there's a lot of work that goes to putting the name on the back too. And, that's a big sacrifice and commitment made by many to put you in that position, and uh, anyone that's listening right now can obviously tell you're a, insightful, mature, young woman. And so, like, what are these conversations like with your mom and dad and even your brother? Just knowing that the family name's on the back. Do you guys get to really talk about that much in terms of like, wow, like I'm repping Canada here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone in my family is really proud of me, but we're also very big on staying humble. So my parents aren't going to act like it's like, oh my gosh, you've made it, you're there. Like, they're always pushing me and making me strive for better. So obviously this is a great milestone in my life, and I hope to continue to play for Canada basketball for as long as I can. But at the same time, my parents are like, okay, you did it, but let's calm down and let's just keep growing. So it's definitely great. It's definitely been like celebrated a bit, but I'm not quite at the top yet, so nothing too major.
Yeah, well, obviously you're going to keep it going. I know that the program has uh, you know selected you probably for a lot of reasons in terms of future participation. And then what the heck is in the water in Milton? Man, Milton's got some serious ballers there. It's just crazy. Like,
Yep.
obviously, I'm not a GTA person, but there's some serious talent coming out of Milton. So it's cool that you recognize the hometown and everything. I wanted to ask about the U19 team last summer, bronze medal group. Um, it people that I have conversations with that support the program and kind of the Canada basketball nerds like myself, I think we recognize like your group really stands out as a group and pool of players that's the program is going to rely on for the senior women's national team down the road for probably the next 20 years. Yourself and Sila and Toby Fournier, Cass Prosper. I'm a fan of Delaney Gibb. I love her game. Um, is that something you all as a group of players maybe talked about or recognized? And then maybe even the program is telling you guys that, like, hey, we know this is a special group, um, for our program. And have they stressed that? I wonder, and just maybe talk about that mentality, knowing that you're going to be key players for the country for a long time.
Yeah, when we were out in Spain with the U19 team, the coaches stressed to us that you guys are like you're an important group of people here. Like we have a great chance to do something amazing with you guys. And so they really pushed us to play as hard as we could, be as good as we could. They knew that we could bring it out in each other, compete, bring it out, play. So they definitely pushed us to be as great as we could be. And then at the same time, yeah, we have those conversations all the time. I mean, Toby, Sila, Delaney, Cass, we spent off the court, we spent all our time together watching movies, relaxing. So being around each other and just knowing that like we're probably going to be with this group of people for like years and years and years, and we've created great relationships. So I think I'm not going to say it hasn't been said, because not all of us have been. Actually, that's not true. We have all been at a camp together, at a senior camp in
Yeah.
Edmonton. It was so much fun. So we kind of got to experience what it'll be like when it's our turn. But yeah, I mean, we all know we're prepping for that, and that's something that's in the future for us. And so we're just continuing to work. So yeah, even not Cass wasn't there, but me, Sila, Toby, and Delaney played on Kia Nurse together. And we were like, wow, this is so cool. We've never played together before, and it was so strong. So we're definitely excited for the future.
Yeah, that's cool because it's been a long time like following the program for myself, right? And I was thinking about it, like I'm hard pressed to really think about an age group that, has really stood out to me in this way in terms of impact. And some of that is the opportunities that, um, a lot of you have had also with the senior women's team already at a young age, right? So, when I look at that and I'm like, holy smokes, this group is, is special. And you look about, um, look at the opportunity. A lot of you are going to go play the first year in Division One basketball too, right? At big time programs, and it just really stands out. And I know the program is excited about your group and the future with you all there. I wanted to ask you, you played for head coach Carly Clark, a friend of ours here on Canada Hoops, and she seemed to have a connection literally with everyone through the program, just coaching at different age levels, and obviously she's helped with the senior women's team as well. Just give us your thoughts on playing for Carly and what she's like as a head coach and just her impact, she's made on you.
Yeah. So when the team was made, me and Carly talked to each other, and she was like, "You're going to be the starting point guard. Like me and you have to have a connection. We need to be able to trust each other because I'm like the coach on the courts at sometimes, you know." So she
Right.
definitely had a lot of trust in me, and I had a lot of trust in her, and we were able to, bond pretty well. So that was great. And she put a lot on my shoulders. I mean, I enjoyed it. I took it and I played with that, but she definitely had expectations from me. Create for my teammates is a big one because that's something that I've like proven to be, good at, and just play for myself too. And so she definitely pushed me well. She made sure that I was always all right and that if I needed a break, I was coming off. Like she never pushed me over my limits, but she definitely was like, we want you to go out and play and be who you are and create for Toby, create for Sila, create for Cass. And so that was something that was like, it was stressed at camp and we practiced it all the time. I mean, our training camps, we're training for 1.5 weeks before we leave just to get a feel of everything and get a feel playing together with the girls, but also with the coaches. So I think it was great. And, Carly was great. And she's definitely a major factor in why we were so successful. I mean, her energy, you have no choice but to push. I mean, she doesn't let you be stagnant and just, strive for nothing. No, we are constantly pushing ourselves and we always have energy when we're playing with her.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my conversation with her, and I think she's got great insight and knowledge on the program and the players that have come through. And I feel like she's impacted a lot of players and gives a lot of confidence to players and puts a lot of trust in them. And you're that extension, like you said, for her. And I just think she's super valuable to the program. Maybe doesn't get enough recognition for what she's done. We talked a little bit about time with the senior women's national team, and most notably last year you trained, and then obviously you went to Victoria, got minutes and played against Japan in the exhibition game before the team went to the AmeriCup. Just talk about that extended period of time with the team, Jasmine, and playing alongside, like, say, at your position, right? Like you're learning from Shea Colley and Naira Fields, and they come to mind. And Shea joined us, and we love and appreciate Shea, and I see a lot of your game in them, um, and vice versa. So, just talk about that experience as a whole, and then also playing for Victor LaPena too as the head coach.
Yeah. So I know in practice, I mean, we get there. I'm new to it, so I'm watching, I'm observing, watching Shay and Naira. So that was definitely like the first part of it. I was like, okay, these are the point guards. These are the women that I have to strive to be like one day. So it was definitely a lot of soaking it all up. And then once I started playing more and contributing more in practice, and it was more on my shoulders at some point, I was like, okay, like they're tough with the ball. I have to be tough with the ball. And just so it was a great way to like kind of base how I was playing off of them because I mean, Victor loves them. They do what Victor wants. They're great. Like it's so cool to watch them. And so, yeah, for sure, learning just everything. And then in the game, I'd sub off, and I was annoyed because I got stuck on a screen. And Naira's like, next time when they set the double screen, run on her outside shoulder, you won't get hit. And then 10 minutes later, I'm subbing in and I do what Naira says and I didn't get hit. And I was like, well, thank you for that. I needed that because
Yeah.
Victor's big on defense. And so if we're not doing things right, he's going to get a little upset at you because like, come on, like push. And so that tip, like I think about it all the time. And I've even said that to my Kings teammates when we're in practice. I'm like, if you run here, you won't get hit. So just things like that where it's like, it's just constantly translating into my game, and it's been so amazing to watch them play, and they're so great. It's honestly like so cool. because you see different things in practice than you do in games. So just the way they think, the way they see things, it's just like, oh my goodness, like this is it's hard to explain it. Like they're just amazing players.
Yeah, it's it's just been refreshing, like to see the youth come in and train and compete, and we've kind of already mentioned that, but I mean, it's just they're doing a great job, and I know you love to get into the defensive side, and that's Victor's wheelhouse too, and I thought that was why they had a lot of success at the World Cup in Australia, right? Because defensively they were super tough, and that's what Shay and I have talked about, and I think if Victor's got a role as a head coach for a long time at the program, players like yourself are going to be people that he looks at long and hard to play and compete with the team, because it's gonna make a huge difference. And if you keep putting in the work, the senior women's national team will be a constant thing for you, Jazz. All right, do you have a top five or favorite five of all time for Canada basketball?
All right. I thought about this. It was actually kind of easy for me to think, but I was like, yeah, this. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay,
number one,
okay,
I have Shea
yeah,
Alexander. I
nice,
mean, he's from close to me, like his town, so I'd wake up in the morning in the summer and go train at a gym in Burlington, and Shay's in there, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And just like, and I've spoken to him when he was talking to my dad, and he's a great person, and it's just been cool to watch him, and he's doing amazing right now. So I think everyone's
crushing
been
it.
seeing that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's been sick. That's cool to follow. Number
yeah.
two, Jamal Murray. I
All
think
right.
when I was younger and my brother was playing, he was kind of that was when he was leaving high school into university, and it was cool to see him because he was another small point guard that my brother was similar to, and I was like, whoa, like he's so good, like this is so cool. He was someone that was like, wow, like Jamal Murray, like, and I knew his younger brother, and I was like, I know your brother's in the NBA. Like that was a big thing for me. It was so funny.
Cool.
Number three, I have Kia, obviously Kia Nurse. Played for her program. I looked up to her my whole life. When I was younger, I'd go to her high school games. We both played for Hamilton Transway. I was coached by her dad, so I think it goes without saying. Like I've always been a big fan of her, and I've always kept up with her. And being with her at camp was like surreal for me. It was so amazing, and so
Nice.
she's a great person. It was so cool to talk to her. Number four, I have Andrew Wiggins. I've
Okay.
always loved Andrew Wiggins. He's always been someone that like I've just kept up with. Obviously, it was cool to watch him on Golden State. He was a big role player for them, and I was like, I know this guy. Like I know him. He doesn't know me, but I know him. So
Yeah.
it's so cool for me to see. And then finally, I have Aaliyah. Aaliyah has just been like, obviously, I was with her at camp a little bit last year too, and she was a great person to be around. She played on Crestwood, so she knows King. She knows what I've been going through as being the OSBA. So it's just been cool to watch her, and then like seeing her on UConn. I mean, it was every kid's young dream. If you played on Transway in Hamilton, you wanted to play on UConn because Kia played on UConn. And so
Right.
just seeing Aaliyah there, it's like, wow, like this is so cool to see. She's killing it. She's killing everyone. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, Aaliyah. That and she's like I said, great person. She's like a ball of energy to be around. She's just so nice. It's yeah.
No, that's a dope five. I mean, Shay and Jamal get a lot of love usually when guests come on. Depending who comes on, we get some throwback names. Obviously, on the women's side, Kia gets mentioned a lot. She's a true icon, and I think I'd have to really look, but that might be the first Aaliyah Edwards reference in the five. So you might have hit a home run there. I like that. And so let me just ask you about Kia. Like, obviously, big time player for the program, and you getting to train with her, and you mentioned how great she is. Is there a tip maybe she told you, like, just talk about conversations with Kia, and she's just one of the best ever for the program, truly is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the funny thing about it is, yes, I talked a lot of basketball with Kia. I mean, we have team dinners and our practices, like we're always talking. But the other cool thing is, so she obviously we see her on TV all the time. and that's like what I'm going to school for, and that's like my dream job. And so we
Cool.
were just she was like, "Oh, what are you going into in college?" I was like, "Communications. I hope to be like I want to do something with sports broadcasting." And she was like, "Oh, if you ever want to come shadow me for a day, just let me know." And I was like, "Oh, like what?" Like so obviously we talked a lot of basketball, but I think that's been also really cool to see. And she kind of just like she talked to me like what it's like. Like she was like, "Oh, I get there at this time, but sometimes I get there at this time, and this is what it's like, you know, we have to go to makeup, then we have to do this." And I sit there and I watch the game. And then so just like hearing about that from like someone that you see on TV like every other night, like that was so cool for me.
Hey, you know what? We might see down the road on Raptors game day. We might see Jasmine Bosco instead
Yep.
of Kia Nurse or whoever. So, hey, that's cool. Jasmine, anyone you'd like to see join us on Canada Hoops? Who's got a good Canada basketball story to share with everyone?
Have you got Toby yet?
No, listen, you hook that up. I'm down.
I can
Like I'd
hook that
love.
up.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to have Toby and have her come on and share her story. That'd be cool. We appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll let her know.
Okay. Any shout outs or thank yous before I get you out of here? And again, it's we appreciate you joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
I mean, I gotta give a shout out to Shay Colley. She's been
Love it.
like amazing for me. I would say she's one of my role models right now. Just watching her play, she's a great person. You know, she'll always make time to talk to me, sit with me at dinner, talk to me, ask me about Kings, ask me about school, and she just makes me feel so welcomed all the time. So, yeah, thank you, Shay.
Yeah, I'll tag her and make sure I send her a message. And does she got you on the country music? She blew me away with that. I was like, oh, she loves her country music. That's pretty cool.
She
I didn't
does love
know
her
that.
country. She
Yeah,
does.
yeah. Love it. Listen, Jasmine, we want to wish you all the best, continued success this season and obviously with Canada basketball in the future and of course that Villanova this season coming up and yeah, truly wish you nothing but the best and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. That's a wrap on another episode of Canada Hoops. I want to thank Jasmine Bosco for pulling up. Thank you for listening. Remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. Keep supporting Canada basketball and our Canadian Hoopers, and we will see you on the next episode.